Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Raj Omar on my channel RU Speaks, and we are studying IGCSE Global Perspectives and IGCSE and O Levels Pakistan Studies, both components, history and geography. And I believe and I just imagine that this is really a good learning for you people regarding these two subjects. Surely, inshallah, you will learn a lot from this channel RU Speaks, and I request you people to subscribe, watch, like, comment and share my channel with your colleagues, with your fellows and in your social circle. Thank you so much. And we are discussing the topics related to history today, and we have almost reached to the end of 1940s now. Yesterday we talked about the events of the Government of India Act of 1935 and the elections of 1937 as per the new constitution of the subcontinent, and then we discussed the Congress rule. After the victory in those elections by Congress was able to establish the governments across the subcontinent, and this is how Congress ruled the subcontinent from 1937 to 1939, and we were done to discuss all those topics up to that point. Now we are going to talk about the 4 marks questions related to the topics we have studied in last few days. I mean, right from 1927 up to 1939. So we are going to talk about these two topics today. So let's start. Here I have those 4 marks questions with me, and we are going to discuss these questions over here in today's lesson. 4 marks questions about right from Khilafat movement and events from 1927 to 1939. So it means that we are going to talk about from 1919 to 1939. So it means that the 20 years phase of the Pakistan movement, and this is the section 2 of the history and culture of Pakistan, component 1 of Pakistan studies. And here are the questions. Number 1, who was Khalifa or what was Khilafat? These two questions may come up in the same question, and maybe got this much answer. Khalifa or Khilafat is a word of Arabic. Khalifa means to follow. So the first successor to the Holy Prophet was Abu Bakr Razillah Talanhu, who came to know known as Khalifa and his empire as Khilafat. The Umayyads dynasty then continued the Khilafat. The Muslims had a high regard of Khalifa, and they considered him as leader of the Muslim world or Muslim Ummah. When the Khilafat and Khalifa were under threat from Britain, the Muslims of the subcontinent began the Khilafat movement for the sake of the protection of Khilafat over there in Turkey, what we call the Ottoman Empire. What was Satyagrah? It is a word of Hindi and it means truth force. It was a non-cooperation movement started by Gandhi. It was a form of non-violent protest against the British. It was later became violent protest. Jinnah and Muslim League did not participate in this particular movement. I mean the non-cooperation movement launched by Mr. Gandhi. So describe the Khilafat Conference 1. It was called in Delhi in 1919. Maulana Shaukat Ali and Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar were leading figures of this Khilafat conference. Gandhi was also present as non-official member of Congress. A resolution was passed that a delegation would be sent to Britain to stop them demolishing Khilafat in Turkey, the Ottoman Empire. I mean, you can say that it was just after the end of the World War I in 1919. As you know that as per the victory of the Allied forces in World War I, and after the defeat of Germany and Ottoman Empire, the Allied forces started disintegrating the losing countries, the defeated countries. They disintegrated Germany, and they also disintegrated Austria, and in the same way they were intended to disintegrate the Ottoman Empire. So to stop or to prevent or to stop the British and the Allied forces not to disintegrate or demolish the Ottoman Empire, it was decided that a delegation should be sent to the British government so that they should not be dismantling the Khilafat over there in Turkey. So describe Khilafat Conference 2. These were the two conferences held. It was held in Amritsar in December 1919. Congress and Muslim League were present in it. Maulana Muhammad Ali had returned from Britain, where he was failed to stop the British to dismember the Khilafat. It was unsuccessful. So it means that as it was decided in the first Khilafat conference over there, that a delegation would be sent over there in the to the Britain, and the British government would be asked not to dismantle the Khilafat over there in Turkey, but it was not listened by the British government or the Allied forces, and they kept on disintegrating the Turkish Empire over there. And Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar came back and he informed the Khilafat Conference too that he was not listened, and that's why this all gone waste and unsuccessful. Still, describe Khilafat Conference 3. It was held in July 1921. It was the last Khilafat conference. It passed a number of resolutions against the British which offended them. As a result, the Ali brothers were arrested. As you know that the British, they were declared as the offenders, and they were declared as the aggressors over there in the Ottoman Empire in Turkey, and that's why this annoyed the British over here in the subcontinent, and they arrested Ali brothers, Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and Maulana Shaukat Ali. So this was the end of Khilafat movement in one sense, as the top leadership of the Khilafat movement got arrested. What was the Treaty of Versailles? It was one of the peace treaties at the end of the First World War. It was signed in 1919 as the World War I ended up in 1918 to end the state of war between Britain and Germany with its allies. As a result, Germany had to pay money to Britain and its allies. Germany was split and Poland was created. So this treaty proved really very fatal for Germany, and this is what was perceived by the Muslims over here in the subcontinent, that if the Allied forces could demolish or dismantle Germany, they could also do the same for the Turkish Empire, and this is what they have seen afterwards. What was the Treaty of Sevres? The next question. It was a peace treaty at the end of World War I, the second one. It was between the Ottoman Empire and the Allied forces. So it means that not the turn came of the Ottoman Empire. Previously it was of Germany. In this, the Turkey was to be split up. While it was under discussion, the nationalist government abolished the Khilafat over here in the Ottoman Empire. That was Mustafa Kemal, who himself abolished Khilafat over there in Turkey, and it was over. What was Hijrat movement or Tehreek-e-Hijrat? It was a part of Khilafat movement. In this, 18,000 Muslims left their homes to migrate to Afghanistan as they saw India a Darul Harb. This was the term coined by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad of Congress. First, few people were welcomed, but later Afghans refused to accept more immigrants, so they had to return and they got penniless. They had nothing left with them, and that was a greater failure. Who was Kemal Atatürk? He was a Turkish military leader during World War I. He was the leader of Turkish national movement. He abolished the Khilafat in the Ottoman Empire. He was the first president and founder of the Republic of Turkey. He made Turkey a secular state where the religion was considered as the private matter of the people, and Turkey became a republic. No more the symbol of unity, no more the symbol of the Muslim Ummah's integrity. What was Chori Chora event? This happened during the Khilafat movement. Chori Chora was a village in the Gorakhpur district. There in 1922, as you know that Gandhi was supporting Khilafat movement, just considering that Khilafat movement would not go violent, and he remained with Khilafat movement with Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and Maulana Shaukat Ali, and he presented himself over there in the second Khilafat conference of December 1919. But in 1922, 21 police officers were killed after they fired on the crowd to stop them. While while the police station was set on fire by the people, after this Gandhi brought his non-cooperation to an end, and he stopped, or he got himself aside out of the Muslim support in Khilafat movement. And you can say that this was one of the incident that the Muslim leadership, Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar, Maulana Shaukat Ali, they lost the support of Congress in Khilafat movement just because of this particular event, as Gandhi did not want to have the movement, Khilafat movement, violent, but it turned violent and finally it was over. Who were Ali brothers? Maulana Shaukat Ali was an Indian Muslim nationalist and the leader of Khilafat movement. In his early career, he was member of Congress. He was brother of Muhammad Ali Johar, helped his brother to publish weekly Hamdard and weekly Comrade. Due to seditious material, he and his brothers were imprisoned, as what he was they were writing over there in these newspapers. Hamdard was in Urdu and Comrade was in English. So in these two magazines, they were writing against the British policies and against the British rule. So they were imprisoned and they were arrested many times. He was once again jailed for his support to Gandhi's non-cooperation movement. Later he joined Muslim League. So this was the role of these two brothers, Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and Maulana Shaukat Ali. And Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar was the one who visited Britain to convince the British government not to dismantle the Turkish Empire, but he was not listened and he returned back unsuccessful. Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar was an Indian Muslim leader, poet and journalist. He became president of Khilafat Conference in 1918. He was the leader of delegation which was sent to England to persuade British to not to punish Turkey. In his early career, he was member of Congress. He started to publish weekly Hamdard and weekly Comrade. Due to the seditious material, he and his brother were imprisoned. Later he joined Muslim League. So it means that both the brothers had almost the same sort of personalities. So they worked for the Muslims unity and for the sake of the Muslims protection over there in the Khilafat movement. What was Simon Commission of 1927? According to the Government of India Act of 1919, talking about Montague-Chelmsford reforms, a commission was to be sent. So in 1927, a commission was sent to India. It was a 7-man committee under the leadership of Sir John Simon. All the members were British, so it was thought as an insult and Indians opposed it. In 1930, it produced a 2-volume report according to which roundtable conferences were held. So it means that this particular commission turned up a failure and just proposed that the leadership from the subcontinent should be called to Britain to discuss the matters of the subcontinent, the political solution of the issues of the subcontinent over there at Britain. So the roundtable conferences were held over there in 1930, 31 and 32. What was Nehru report? It was a report produced by Motilal Nehru in the All Parties Conference in 1928. It called for immediate dominion status for India. It said that there should be bicameral parliament and all the men and women should have the right to vote. There was a system of protecting the rights of minorities by reserving seats, but it was still opposed by Muslims. It was presented to British as the new constitution of India, but the Muslims and the British, they did not accept this report by Mr. Nehru. So it means that that was rejection. What were Jinnah's 14 points? These were demands proposed by Jinnah in the All India Muslim League's conference. It was given as an answer to Nehru report. It was unanimously accepted by all the leaders of Muslim League. It demanded for 1/3 seats and separate electorates for Muslims. It said that all the provinces should have equal amount of autonomy and Sindh should be separated from Bombay Residency. So these were the demands of the Muslims in the form of 14 points published by Jinnah, opposing Nehru report and opposing the Simon Commission. But these were not accepted by Hindus and by the British government. What was Salt March? It was a part of Gandhi's non-cooperation. It was against the unfair British salt laws. It was started in March 1930 and ended in April 1930, remained for 1 month. Route was from Ashram to Dandi. In response to this march, Gandhi and Nehru were arrested. So just to have the pressurize the British government towards awarding the dominion status to the subcontinent, this march was announced by Indian National Congress under the leadership of Mr. Gandhi, but it turned up a failure again and Mr. Gandhi was arrested. What was Allahabad address? It was the presidential address by Allama Iqbal to the annual session of All India Muslim League on 29th of December 1930 at Allahabad, India. In that address, Iqbal said that he would like to see NWFP Punjab Balochistan as a separate state for Muslims. So it means that the idea of Pakistan was given. Then describe Roundtable Conference 1. All the parties in India were called to first Roundtable Conference. Congress refused to come as their demand that everything that would be discussed would be applied to India was rejected. Muslims were represented by Muhammad Ali Johar, Sir Aga Khan and Mr. Jinnah. In this, the princes were promised their rights as well, but it was a failure as Congress was not there in that conference. Roundtable Conference number 2, it was called in London in 1931. Viceroy Irwin urged Gandhi to stop his non-cooperation and attend the RTC. An agreement was reached which is known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Muslims were represented by Jinnah and Allama Iqbal in that conference, second roundtable conference. In this RTC, the Gandhi took hard lines and refused to accept the rights of the Muslims. So this conference also failed. Describe RTC number 3. It was held in London in 1932. Jinnah and Gandhi both were not there as they were not, and Jinnah was not even invited, and Gandhi was again in non-cooperation movement. Muslims were represented by Aga Khan and Muhammad Shah. No agreement could be reached and it was a big failure, and very few delegates were there over there to represent the whole of the Muslim and all other non-Muslim communities of the subcontinent. What was Gandhi-Irwin Pact? This pact was passed or signed between Gandhi and Lord Irwin in 1931, and after that Mr. Gandhi accepted to join and to attend the Roundtable Conference number 2. In this pact, Gandhi agreed to call off his non-cooperation movement and stopped his demand for independence. Irwin agreed that the political prisoners would be released and their properties would be given back to them. So it means that it was a sort of give and take situation, and Gandhi agreed to be the part of the Roundtable Conference, and he went over there, but he took really very hard stance over there, which was not acceptable by the other communities, especially the Muslims. What was the Government of India Act of 1935? It was the last constitution of British India and the first constitution of both India and Pakistan. as after the creation of Pakistan and India in 1947, as both the countries were the new ones, so they didn't have their own constitution at that time. So both the new countries, Pakistan and India, they adopted Government of India Act 1935 as their first constitutions. Later, they made their own constitution and followed them. And this diarchy was dropped at provincial level and introduced at the central level as per this one. The number of provinces were increased to 11 by making NWFP, Orissa and Sindh as autonomous provinces. Now 35%, now 25% of the Indians population was given the right to vote. So now here came the topics related to the Congress rule. What was Varda scheme? It was an educational scheme started by Gandhi. In this, religious education was banned and cotton spinning was made a part of the education. Spinning wheel was there to teach the students to spin the cotton and to make cotton yarn. Children were forced to bow before Gandhi's portrait and the education was to be in Hindi language. This was opposed by the majority of the Muslims. What was Bande Mataram? This was also during the Congress rule of 1937 to 39. It was a Hindu nationalist song. It was written against the Muslims that they should be expelled from Hindustan. Its singing was made compulsory in schools and in start of official business every day during the Congress rule. It was seen as an insult of the Muslims over there. Describe the elections of 1937. These were the first elections after the Government of India Act 1935 and they were in accordance as per the new constitution of the subcontinent. Both Muslim League and the Congress participated in elections. Congress got majority in 5 provinces and single largest party in 4 provinces. Congress was asked to form ministries in it did and Congress was able to make the governments in almost all the provinces of the subcontinent, whether by itself or by its allies. So that was somehow a greater defeat of the Muslim League over there in these elections. What was communal award? Communal award was announced by Lord Macdonald in 1932. These were announced to reduce the communal tensions in India. The Muslims were given majority in Hindu majority provinces and Hindus in the Muslim majority areas. These were rejected by Congress but reluctantly accepted by Muslims as Muslims were losing their majority in the Muslim majority areas and that majority was to be awarded to the Hindus. So that was somehow as Muslims were getting some majority in the Hindu majority areas, they were getting more seats over there in the Hindu majority areas. So that was something positive for them. That's why they accepted, but they were losing their majority in their own majority areas. What was Mafla Rebellion? The Muslim peasants in South India were known as Mufla, uprised and thousands of Indians were killed. At Tirar, 10,000 Muflas destroyed the police station and seized arms. They then attacked Hindu property. 4,000 Muflas were killed by the British, but the British suffered less than 100 casualties. So there were so many uprisings and so many rebellions across the subcontinent throughout that independence movement, and this was one of them. 4 points are there for 4 marks. So this is how we have come up with the end of the 4 marks questions from 1919 up till the 1939 events. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the Pakistan resolution of 1940, and I'll also start working on the component 3 of or component 2 of the global perspectives, that is the individual report, that how to make a research based report, the component 2 of the global perspectives IGCSE. So I will switch to that one, then I'll come back to geography, and we will start the the unit that is related to power sources, and then onwards towards agriculture, and then the later units. And then I'll come back to history from 1940 to 1947. They are the most important events, and we'll try to have a bit more details on these topics later when we will be over there in this phase of the learning. So this is all from my side today, and do not forget to subscribe, like, watch, comment, and share my channel RU Speaks, as Raj Omar speaks for you. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.